what is the meaning of bitte? I know it is a courtesy word like please or por favor. In German, depending of context, will have different meanings. But what is the actual meaning behind it? Let me explain myself better. I want to know the literal word meaning. Okay, in Spanish, por favor means something as a favor. Pásame la sal, por favor. Hand me over the salt, please. Hand me over the salt as a favor. Sure. Yeah, sure. Let's get into that for a second. Because that's stuff that I always find interesting when learning languages as well. There's die Bitte. And there's jemanden etwas bitten. Die Bitte is request. And jemanden etwas bitten means to request something from somebody. In this case, jemanden is, can you tell? It's accusative, and etwas is, it's also accusative. Wen oder was? So, jemanden etwas bitten. Ich bitte dich. Ich bitte dich just means I ask you. It could be a plea as well. Like I beg you could also be ich bitte dich. But I ask you. Ich bitte dich einen Gefallen. I'm asking you for a favor. So that's basically the basis. So bitten is the verb and die Bitte, female, is the noun. Now, that doesn't quite explain why it's bitte gib mir das Salz, because that doesn't seem to quite fit with either the noun or how verbs work in German. My assumption, again, this isn't something I've researched, much like thinks in English, where to think, right, then suddenly turns into thanks, which is like many thanks, or thank you is either the exclamation of like, thank you, thanks be to you, or I thank you without the I. Basically, stuff like this that you say a lot will eventually degenerate into very reduced forms. So I could see this originally having been, ich bitte dich, gib mir das Salz, which is a reduced form. Well, you could actually say this. It sounds a bit overly dramatic. It's like, I ask you to please give me the salt. Like there's no point, especially with like a minor request like this. But you might hear people say something like, ich bitte dich, hör mir zu. I'm asking you to please listen to me. Ich bitte dich, hör mir zu. Or I could say, ich bitte dich das Salz. Now this is definitely not something that anybody will say, but you could phrase it that way technically, right? Ich bitte dich das Salz. I'm asking you for the salt. Ich bitte dich, again, ich bitte dich deine Hilfe. I'm asking you for your help. That is more likely to hear, or I'd say even more likely to probably read. Because instead of saying a performative sentence of like, I'm asking you for your help, you would probably first say, kannst du mir bitte helfen? Would you please help me? Right? But technically, you might read this somewhere in a book where somebody's like, come with me now. And the other person is like, why would I do that? And then the other person says, I'm asking you for your help. And that would be, ich bitte dich deine Hilfe. Wouldn't beten be like beg, or is it even more pronounced than bitten? No, beten means beten, although they are etymologically related for sure. I don't know this, but I am 90% to 98% certain that beten and bitten are originally the same word that then developed into two separate verbs. Beten means to pray. To pray. Flehen is to plea or to plead. Flehen, to plead, to beg. But to beg can also be, and this might be where the confusion comes from, betteln. What? And I am so glad about that question, Aries, because this is making this question so much more interesting and so much more like, specifics in language, that's the stuff we love here. So, beten means to pray. Very simple. It's just, right? The only way that this can relate to another person, unless you're literally deifying a person, is ich bete dich an, which means I adore you. We could also say ich vergöttere dich, which literally means I'm deifying you. Ich bete dich an means I am so fond of you that I am literally praying to you as if you were a god. Typically said in very over-the-top romantic proclamations, right? Ich bete dich an. But other than that, and that also would be anbeten, not beten. Beten you usually do to somebody. So, zu Gott beten would be to pray to God. Zu Gott beten. Ich bete zu Gott. Ich bete zu Gott. Now, flehen is the type of begging where you are desperately asking somebody to do something. Ich flehe dich an. I'm begging you. Ich flehe dich an. Right? This is the stronger version of to ask for, to request. So it would be ich bitte dich, hilf mir. I'm asking you to please help me. And then when the person doesn't, you could escalate to ich flehe dich an, ich brauche deine Hilfe. I'm begging you, I need your help. Right? Ich flehe dich an. Jemanden anflehen. Betteln is to beg only in the sense of asking for charity. Right? Ich muss betteln gehen means I have to go on the street and ask for money, or, I have to ask people for help. Ambulance break. So, ich muss betteln gehen, that is the sense of to beg, where somebody is a beggar, right? A beggar on the street. Betteln gehen. Ich gehe betteln. Children can also bettel. Or dogs, actually. Mein Hund... Jesus. Hold up. Mein Hund bettelt schon wieder. My dog is begging again, in the sense of your dog comes to the table while you're eating and is like, there you would say, mein Hund bettelt. Or kids might beg their parents to get something from the begging aisle. Like when you're standing at the register and there's candy and stuff. And then the parent might say to their child, oh Mann, hör auf zu betteln. Stop begging me, stop hassling me. So betteln is the sense of, is the type of begging where you are asking for someone who is typically more mighty or has more than you to give you something. That's betteln. Or abstractly, you could also beg for permission. Oh, bitte, Mama, bitte, bitte, bitte. That's betteln. Right. So beten and bitten are definitely linguistically, like etymologically related, but they are not meaning related anymore than when you are praying, of course, you are asking God for something usually, right? That's how they're related. But they're not escalations from each other, except in that very same context where you could say you are asking God for something versus you are praying to God for something. Which, yeah. But you are not going to pray to a person for something. Ich bitte Gott seinen Schutz. I'm asking God for his protection. Ich bete zu Gott seinen Schutz oder für seinen Schutz. I'm praying to God for his protection. But you're not going to pray to a person for their protection. It's too abstract. Ich bitte dich um deine Hilfe. I'm asking for your help. Ich flehe dich um deine Hilfe an. I am pleading for your help. I'm begging you for your help. Or even, ich bettele um deine Hilfe. I am begging like a beggar for you to help me. Besteht das Verb flehen ohne das Präfix an? Yes, it does. Jemanden anflehen is to plead to somebody or to beg somebody to do something. Flehen generally is, you know the phrase, hear my plea? Hör mein Flehen. So flehen can also be turned into a noun. Das Flehen. So hear my pleading, hear my plea. Mein Flehen. Niemand hört mein Flehen. Ich flehe zu Gott. Ich flehe zu dir. Ich flehe, full stop, would just mean I'm just pleading because I'm so desperate, I don't know what else to do anymore. So yeah, it exists without the prefix. Natasha asks, was bedeutet leiden? Ich habe das Wort in ein paar Zusammenhängen gelesen, aber wusste nicht, was es bedeutet. Leiden just means to suffer. You'd have to ask me more context specific. Leiden also exists as a noun. Das Leiden. Leiden just means to suffer. And so das Leiden is suffering. Noun. Das Beispiel. Woher weiß Hitler denn, dass Papa ihn nicht leiden kann? I see the confusion now. Very good point. Okay. Leiden, to suffer. Jemanden leiden können is to like somebody fine. But jemanden nicht leiden können means literally to find somebody insufferable. So you can see that English has this image too. There's also etwas erleiden, which means to suffer something. So, er hat viele Qualen erlitten. He suffered through much agony. Leiden können oder nicht leiden können, that is a specific phrase. So this is not so much because of the verb itself. The verb leiden always means suffer. But jemanden leiden können is a specific meaning phrase, or jemanden nicht leiden können, the same. That just means that ich kann ihn gut leiden means I like him fine. I like him. And ich kann den nicht leiden means I can't stand him. I find him insufferable. That's a very good question. Passion in English can mean both delight and pain. Right. In German, we only use it as the suffering thing, like the Passion of Christ, die Passion Christi. Passion can mean hobby in German, though. Oh, that is very true. That is true, yes. Das ist meine Passion. It's not used that often, but true. As always, at the end of the episode, I would like to thank everyone who's supporting DFE over on Patreon. Patreon is a way to finance these episodes and to keep me somewhat independent from stuff like sponsors. So thank you so much to everyone who is helping out completely voluntarily. I am, I never get tired of pointing out how amazing I think that is and how honored I am and well, I don't know. It just feels good, okay? Anyway, you can go over there if you want to support DFE. You can also get a few rewards. Of course, you will end up on this list like everyone who's on there currently, but you also get some extra learning materials and stuff, like, for example, my grammar scripts and other things. It's all over there. I wrote it down particularly so I didn't have to keep it all in my head. But anyway, yeah, thank you to everyone. And a special thanks to the second little list that is separated by the extra space, because these are the people who are extra generous and give each episode an extra bump go check out DFE's Patreon. It's in the description. Dankeschön.